Hi guys! Alright, so today we're going to talk about how benzos have had a history of doing me dirty. So let's get into it. Alright, so if you guys have seen in one of my very first videos, I talked about how it turned out that I'm allergic to lorazepam. And I don't know if I'm technically allergic to it, but we found out, I think it was the first seizure med or anti-seizure med that I was prescribed that I took. And it didn't necessarily control my seizures. We found out, I only took it for a month, but we found out that definitely a side effect affected me. And after, being on it a week or two, we couldn't tell right away that, I was already upset that I just started having seizures out of nowhere. And, I was upset about that. I was stressed and, down in the dumps. And who wouldn't be, I was diagnosed with epilepsy. I was having seizures out of nowhere on this new medication. I'd never been on medication before for anything. But then, the thoughts started to turn darker and darker. And I'm not a depressed person. I'm not been diagnosed with depression, anything like that. I'm usually, somewhat upbeat. Y'all can tell from my previous videos. Luckily I was able to, say to my husband, I've kind of been feeling like maybe you guys would be better off without me here, without having to deal with all this and, having some bad thoughts. And he immediately was like, oh my God, oh no, we got to get you off this right now. So he called my neurologist, and luckily they realized that was a bad possible side effect of lorazepam is suicidal thoughts. And so they got me off of it. Within a week, those thoughts went away immediately. So we realized lorazepam, not for me. So I just always list that as one of my drug allergies to make sure that I'm never prescribed that again. Okay, moving on. I've never had, an issue with that since. Moving forward to recently, when I had an MRI a few months ago, I had, some claustrophobia affect me. I was like, and they were saying, stay still, stay still. I couldn't. So I knew that I had my high contrast MRI coming up soon. And I told my epileptologist, I had trouble staying still before. And she's like, okay, I'll prescribe you some clonazepam to try and stay still. And I was like, okay, cool. And so I did a test run of it to try it to see, I did that at home to see if it would calm me down. And it had the opposite effect. It made me hyper. I don't know why. I was like, that was weird. So, I was like, but okay, I'll try it anyway. Because I took it at night. But my MRI was in the morning. So I went ahead and took it during my high contrast MRI. If you look at my MRI video, I have lots of videos about this. You'll see that it did not calm me down. It did not make me fall asleep during my MRI. I still, moved around too much. So I was like, I guess, clonazepam just does not work for me. It, doesn't help. So I let my epileptologist know, appreciate you trying this new drug. It doesn't work. And she said, well, you know what? Let's try using the quick dissolving clonazepam just as a rescue med. If you need it for your partials, when, I have a partial seizure coming on with the light aura and then I lose awareness, all that kind of stuff. And I said, okay, and I appreciate her. I love that she's willing to say, okay, cool, that's not working. Let's move on, try something new. She's willing to work with me on anything I tell her. We communicate very well. So I was like, okay, cool, we'll try that. So the other day, I woke up out of sleep at 7 a.m. I was like, oh no, one's starting. So my husband ran and got one. And I took it, and within 60 seconds, boom, seizure gone. It worked that fast, the quick dissolving clonazepam. I posted a little video about it. It's just a quick 1.5 minute. You can watch that. So amazing. That worked. That clonazepam worked. And I was like, okay, good. So, you know, for the rest of the day, I was tired from it, but I still got up, ran errands, went to a couple of stores, did some laundry throughout the day, was okay, just a little bit tired. It's like, okay, great. I found a rescue med that stops it right away. I don't have to go through, you know, the 20 minutes of the seizure, the postictal, whatever. And then in the evening, for those of you that haven't been following me, we had found out a few months ago with my doctor that when I had stopped drinking alcohol, that my seizures went up, they got out of control, and when I did a test run of adding alcohol back in, my seizures were under control, it stopped, and so we agreed that for me, having a couple of alcoholic drinks in the evening worked. It's part of my medicine ritual in the evening. It worked, it's doctor approved, blah, 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 blah. Okay, good. When I had a couple of drinks in the evening, I started, you know, I was end of day relaxing. I started just letting the day sink in. I started feeling sorry for myself, going, man, I had hit my 30-day mark, seizure free, and this just sucks. I had another one, and I was sitting out on the back patio, just, you know, it hit me, and it just, you know, I was feeling down. And my husband came out, and he's like, hey, what's going on? I was like, I'm just frustrated. You know, this happened again. And he's like, you know what? You just got to move on. It's okay. And I said, you know what? I'm allowed to feel sorry for myself. I'm allowed to, you know, let this hurt and be upset about it. And he's like, yeah, you are, but I'm worried that this might be a side effect because this is another benzo that you're taking. Because lorazepam and clonazepam are in the same, you know, family of medicines. And I was like, it's not that. It's just I'm upset and it's okay. Let me be upset. And she was like, okay. So he left me outside to be alone on the patio. And I stayed out on the patio for a while, just thinking. And as time went on, I stayed out there on the patio thinking. And then I got to thinking, maybe it'd be better if I just went away. Just packed up my things, left. Didn't tell anybody where I was going, and not thinking about hurting myself, but just escaping, running away, not being around anybody, not telling my kids where I went, not telling my husband, and never seeing anybody again. And in the very back of my head, I was like, maybe he's right. Maybe this is clonazepam rearing its ugly head. But I was so deep in it, I was like, no, that's fine. Still having my drinks, mind you. And so, you know, my husband had cooked this wonderful meal. He'd done this honey mustard chicken with green beans and rice. And he just kind of poked his head out. He's like, dinner's ready. It's like, I'm not hungry. Just stayed there on the porch. And then finally, you know, I got up from the porch, went into the living room, and went straight back to the bedroom and just laid down while they were all still out there in the living room, and just laid down in the dark. Still with my thoughts, getting deeper and deeper, sunk into this dark place. And then I realized I was hungry. So I got back up into the kitchen and, you know, he still had this nice dinner waiting for me. I grabbed frozen burritos out of the freezer and just sat there quietly in the dark eating those. Got back up when I was done, went back into the dark bedroom, laid by myself. And then my sweet little 7-year-old, because it's our ritual at night, I tuck him into bed, I lay with him, we talk about his day, kiss him goodnight, and done. So at 9 o'clock, he came into the dark bedroom with me, climbed on top of me. He's like, Mama, can you come tuck me into bed? And I said, no, leave me alone. And usually he'd be like, no, Mama, come on. He just immediately, okay. And went out of the room. Like he could hear my tone of voice. I was not having it. And then I fell asleep. And I woke up the next day completely fine. Felt fine, but I felt horrible about what had happened the night before. So I got up, and I always go for a run in the morning. Trying to stay healthy, but it makes me feel good. It clears my head, So I went for a run, and I came back, and my husband's on the couch like, how was your run? I was like, good, and I've got a plan. Here's my plan. I was like, okay, so, clearly Benzos are very delicate with me. Like the lorazepam, it had to build up in my system for me to hit that dark point. The clonazepam, when mixed with alcohol, I think went sideways on me because I was fine the whole day. I was just tired, but I was running errands, doing laundry, okay. So I was like, I think that should be used, the fast-acting clonazepam should be used only in emergency situations, like if I happen to be out driving a car or I'm, out emergency situations where I need it to stop immediately. Other than that, I should use what I have been using as a rescue med, which is just my Keppra and Topamax together, and just ride out the little seizure that I have, which only lasts about 20 minutes from beginning to the end of my postictal, where I just kind of sit and I get to where, light flashing in my eye, and then I can't really talk for very long, and then I'm out of it, which is not traumatic, not crazy for somebody to see. I just kind of have to sit there for a little while, and then the rest of the day I'm fine. I can still do my errands, I'm not tired. I think that's my plan. I think that's a good plan. I think I should hardly ever have to take the emergency clonazepam ever. Hopefully I never have to take a rescue med since I reset my seizure clock. Oh my God. But deal with it, move on, do what you can. But so yeah, benzos and me apparently don't mix very well. I've learned that for sure. It's a delicate balance, but that was my story of how benzos have done me dirty. But okay, glad I realized in the moment, what was going on, and just that I needed to go to sleep, kind of in the back of my head, knew what was going on. And that I need to be careful with those. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Thanks, bye.